Madagascar. Have you ever met anyone in Hong Kong from Madagascar? So, very exciting. But has been in Hong Kong since 1996. Well, originally even earlier than that, but then came back and has been here for a very long time with amazing project experience, 28 years of experience on projects around the globe. So please give Claude a very warm welcome, and we look forward to hearing about transparency.
Welcome everyone to our studio. And I was very fortunate to have given this topic to talk about transparency. Because when you think about it, transparency is actually about everything and everything at all. And as today, every time we have a question about anything, we ask Wikipedia. And then what it says is openness, communication, and accountability. But to me, to be transparent, and also transparency sometimes, the problem is actually ourselves. We have a transparent block. We don't see things beyond certain things because why? Because we have prejudice. We are prejudiced. We have preconceived ideas. We don't like to hear what other people are saying. For example, look at this, teapot. Imagine you're sitting here, staring at this teapot. Say, what teapot is this? There's no handle. And then the other guy on the other side said, this teapot doesn't work. It doesn't have a sprout. And then two of you will start arguing, no, screaming at each other. Now, if you only stand up, walk around, and say, oh yes. The other side of the other guy is telling the truth. Yes, there is a handle. Oh yeah, there's a sprout. Yeah. So that's how people need to communicate. Not to enclose yourself always in your little world. So I think that's all. Transparency is what you make of it. It's how far you want to go to find out. And also, transparency can be so real. For example, in China, this is a hotel, 20-story high. Yeah, I laughed at it when I looked at it because its name is the ugliest building in China. It's the three gods, and if you think about the teapot, I recommend here actually is the presidential suite. Try hotel.com, you might rent a room there. These people, they think there's three gods. If you want longevity, you stay in this person here, this owl. And that's how they see things. And we don't understand, we just laugh at other people. But by the way, this is not one of our projects. Another thing about transparency is us as an architect and planners and all that. Every time we receive a mandate to do a job, the developer will come and give you a set of plans, and these are the red lines in China. And also, it's the property lines, usually it's in dashed dot. I don't go beyond that. You need the setback. And the government says, okay, you have maximum density, you have all kinds of rules that you need to follow. And so, don't forget also the developer will give you a set of brief of 10 pages. All the things he wants to do inside his property line. And most people, most architects, when they start designing very quickly without really thinking. Transparency around. This is a project in Dongguan. Now imagine, it's built 11 years ago. And it still remains empty, vacant, nobody goes there. Why? Because the works within the boundary was given to them. It's not being transparent to see further. Also, this is not one of our projects, okay? So don't worry. So what happened is, it's built, you have a 2.5 kilometer long gondola, a river inside, and also half kilometer long roller coaster ride. Now in Dongguan, 10 million people live there, but most people, they're laborer. They work so hard with very small salary, and all the money they make, they have to almost send everything back to their home in somewhere in China. And they work so long hours, when do you think they have time to go and ride on the roller coaster? So, and the transparency is also creating an authentic and transparent work environment. And this is what we're trying to do here. Actually, you can witness. We don't have any rooms for directors. We all sit together. We're very transparent in what we do. By doing that also, we communicate better. Don't want to brag about our office. Transparency, visionary is also an attitude, create transparency barrier for people. Sometimes you're trying to be very imaginative about things. You're trying to express certain things, you're excited, yeah? And that's, people just don't see the way you see it. Now, this drawing, because by the way, we in our office we do a lot of retail mixed use. So I did this 16 years ago. I've been talking about this way before you have internet. You have the online shopping. So what you really make people come to a place and enjoy is probably what I call the shoppertainment. For example, if you create inside a street that actually invite people from different part of the world, I'll call it the streets of the world, if you want to hear like that. Maybe from London, UK, we'll create the street and invite some people from there who's never been to whatever that place, Hong Kong, for example, and open up a shop. They'll be able to communicate with people, and maybe a haberdasher from London somewhere and set up a shop and be able to buy stuff like that. And then also, it's a cross-cultural thing. Maybe a street from Omotesando in Japan, or it could be La Rambla, and they have all the shops, people sitting in the cafe eating outside. And entertainment, for example, is instead of just sitting there, can I order my food? And the guy will like, the teppanyaki guy, just flip the meat and land on top of your bowl. It's very entertaining. Even slicing a Peking duck is entertaining. The pizza maker flying it out. Or even better still, you can have a cooking class. Yeah, you cook and you make your friend eat it. And entertainment, of course, you know what entertainment is all about. Children get to do a play, or even story reading. And finally, sleepertainment. Stop what you think. Sleepertainment. You can build a hotel 20, 30 story high, but let's say 5 floors. It's all Japanese style. It's tatami. And you walk up to the elevator, a girl is like, konnichiwa. They don't speak a word of your language, only in Japanese. And maybe 5 floors is Saudi Arabia and you sleep in a tent. And in some sub-zero country, maybe you can have some ice hotel. Why not? These are all ideas. After 5 years preaching this, nobody listened to me, so I just gave up. But now, since, thank God for internet shopping. This might realize the instruction, of course, we have lots of different instructions, like events and all that. Usually, a provocative thought can be inspiring, and that's what we're trying to do. And what I think is, through transparency, we can make it happen. Now, this is Lead 8 Harbor Loop. I put this in, it's not bragging about Lead 8, because this project is very, very unique. You know why? One, we don't have a client. We're just doing it because we live in Hong Kong. It takes so much from the place. We need to give back something to it. And secondly, we don't have a red line. We can just go all over the place. So it's actually trying to create a 23-kilometer long link between Kowloon and Hong Kong. Now we did a lot of public consultation, and we spent a lot of time going through the different places to see how to be linked together. Now in the 1800s, when the ship comes into port into Victoria Harbor, there were no buildings. I mean, it was like really beautiful. And you see now the harbor has been shrinking every time. We see further development. We have buildings, high-rise on both sides, and then we have this heat island effects and all that. And what we thought is maybe it'd be good if you build something just to stop the harbor from growing smaller to begin with. And secondly, it'd be some place where people can actually escape from the dense environment that we live in Hong Kong, and then yet be able to go to a place and breathe some fresh air, and also enjoy the beautiful harbor. Now look at this. Imagine this heat island. All your air conditioning blowing all the heat into the street, and this is where we live. But then again, on the other side is a beautiful harbor, but you can't get to it. That is the problem. It's there, but nobody's using it. So why? Why aren't we using it? Good question. So what we did here is we suggest to create a loop of 23 kilometers. And for example, the challenging point is to put a cable car that goes from the from the Central Pier to the exit of the West Kowloon Cultural District. And actually is located directly on top of the exit of the Cross Harbour Tunnel, Western Cross Harbour Tunnel. Then after that, actually the West Kowloon Cultural District saw this here. And then in Jinsaja, it's quite developed if you will go there. You can still walk around. And then after that, and again, I think the main thing in here is we're trying to create some commuter hubs, community hubs and culture hubs. These hubs will be, right now it's just sort of placed in different places. Oh, sorry. But eventually we're going to find the correct place to put them. So it'd be commuters, it would be community, and also it would be the culture. Now, if we actually spend a lot of time walking around exploring the harbor front. Some existing section already there. For example, this is in the West Kowloon Cultural District. And then this plan, which is in blue, is under construction. And then all this is already existing. And there's a lot of missing link that we need to create later. And of course, the Kai Tak also there's the under construction. And then when you get to Kowloon Bay, part of the Kowloon Bay stretch is actually there already, but not used. Now, along here, there's some difficult area. And of course, from Shap Kiwan, on the way, Swire, all this area, actually today you can go there and can, some places accessible. It's about 30.5% of this is accessible. And about 9.5% of these is actually under construction. And about 60% is inaccessible. So, the Harbor Loop section, when you walk around, of course, there's the cable car here. Yeah, I checked on Google Earth because I didn't have a tape measure this long enough to measure it. Google Earth tells me that this is 1.2 kilometers. It's not too bad for a cable car. But then again, it doesn't have to be a cable car. It's just to connect it. Maybe because it's already the Cross Harbour Tunnel, Western Cross Harbour Tunnel here, they can build something next to it for people to walk. I don't know. There's many different ways of doing it. And in here, in the Leiyu Moon Strait here, Google Earth also tells me it's 455 meters across. So if you put a footbridge, imagine you can walk from Hong Kong to Kowloon. Yeah, nice. In these different colors, what it tells us is, what we think it could do, what we can create is different zones, different feel, different atmosphere. Because a lot of communities along the harbor front, by creating that, they'll be able to express themselves, and there'll be a lot of discovery. And also imagine at the convention center here, there'll be a lot of visitors coming. Visitors, when they come to Hong Kong, they stay in the hotel, crowded, you go on the street, can't breathe, claustrophobia. Well, here, you can go to the harbor and enjoy, oh, Hong Kong is beautiful, you know. Could be a livable city. We don't have to do this right now. The size of the Victoria Harbour is shrinking. Now we just put in, this is the size of Central Park. So actually it's quite big at this moment, you know. If you keep shrinking, we don't have any harbour left. So I think we need to really think about this. It's all about community. Community is all what we got. Every time we work, we spend a lot of time in the office working, but we think about the community. We have, when we did the research, we talked to runners, cyclists, and people just walk around. These two sisters, they love to walk around in Hong Kong, but they don't have a place to walk without getting run over by traffic or inhaling all this exhaust from the car. Cycling, people, a lot of people running around, but they're not really feel comfortable. About The research shows that about 80% of the Hong Kong people would like to have more outdoor space where they can use. So in here, in the Harbor Loop, I'll just go through the different community with you. This is where the Central Pier is. So you can take a cable car onto the West Kowloon Cultural District, and then go to Tsim Sha Tsui, and then here's Hung Ham, and then to Kai Tak Bay, and then go to East Kowloon, which is actually here's the Kowloon Bay area. Now Kai Tak is under great development as well, big development as well. They have a lot of plans for the outdoor spaces. And then they have Un Thong, into Little Un Thong. And then here you have Yau Thong. Yau Thong across to Apung Nam. And then you have the Sao Ki Wan area. The Liu Mun Strait is a lot of history there as well. When the Japanese attacked Hong Kong, for example, this is why they have the war, the museum here. And also after that, this Quarry Bay. Swire is doing a great job in Quarry Bay, trying to make it a real community, having space like arts and music. They have a lot of street music happening in Tai Kung Fong, which I kind of feel. They won't ask me to sing to the same time. And then after that, after Quarry Bay, you have North Point, and then after North Point, you have Causeway Bay, and between Causeway Bay, actually on Little Point as well, there's 2 typhoon shelter here. Beautiful. If you go down there, nobody uses it. How often do we have a typhoon? Oh, besides the one before. Take that one back. But we don't have enough typhoon in Hong Kong because we don't get enough day off. Everybody ends up in the bar. And then we have Wan Chai, and then we have Central, the convention center. A lot of people go there. The convention center. Imagine all the people coming out of the convention center all day trapped in a room, listen to. Could be interesting, could be whatever. And then they come out, they hop onto Harbor Loop and walk around Hong Kong. And they feel great, think Hong Kong is a real livable city. And after that, in Central is where IFC. So that forms the route of 23 kilometers. This is just some early sketches we did from Victoria Park, looking up some of the building Bank of China. So basically it's to create a lively route. Typhoon shelter. How often we use it? It's a great place to sit in a typhoon. We've got water on both sides. You can create it, make people walk around there, enjoy, even just breathe the fresh air. It's really nice. So I think we should be exploring more about creating spaces for people, and it's free. Now in Shap Ki Wan, as I said earlier, it's really well developed in a sense that the culture is very, very strong. But just that there's not a platform for them to really express themselves. This is the Coastal Defense Museum. And then you see a lot of these actually in Hong Kong along the harbor. It's there, but it's been blocked off. That's what I'm saying. Part of it is not accessible. And it's not planned for that. In Shap Ki Wan, there's the fish market. Yeah, have you been there? Farmers market, and there's the marina with also the typhoon shelter, and then many different facilities there. So this Shap Ki Wan, I can see they're very, very strong, very, very strong cultural culture. And that's why it could happen. You can have people water sports and sitting around and enjoying, and maybe some amenities building for people to change when they get hot, and if they commute from there. And these are actually silo, which I'll talk about it later, where you can actually store your bicycle. Talk about that later. Of course, the footbridge spanning across 450 meters. And also the Quarry Bay. Quarry Bay is, well, you can now, I think probably on your way here, you notice the very, very heavily dense area with residential. You have Tai Fu Shing, and also you have Cornhill. A lot of people live here. And Swire did a very good job building all these office towers. And actually a lot of people moving from Central to Quarry Bay. The reason most of them for doing that is because they probably have cheaper rent, but the rent is not cheap anymore. but again, it's just to get away from Central. It's a different culture. But Quarry Bay is really, really developing into a community area. For example, that, as I said, the Suarez is doing a lot of outdoor music and also artistry in haiku form. There's a lot of artwork, people from all over the world. Allison did lots of stuff in there in Suarez. They love arts. It's a real community. Now, we'll talk about connectivity. When you do anything you want, anything you do, is you always think about how people get there. Is it hard? Is it easy? What are we trying to do? So let's look at this. Actually, the harbor front is very well connected. Now, these are the MTR line, okay? And it's about 10 minutes walk from the MTR line to our proposed route, MTR. And these are all the ferries. There are a lot of ferries in Hong Kong, actually. And all these are all still running, maybe on different hours, not full day, but certain hours they stop. So, in yellow, it's about 10 minutes walk. In 10 minutes walk, we can actually benefit 1.7 million people. You can just walk there to the harbor, to the harbor loop. Fresh air, you know, better life. So, as I said earlier, 9.3% is under construction, under development, and 30.5% is actually accessible at this point, and 60% is really still under construction, and it shows it here. The one in blue is under construction or planned, and red is accessible. You can actually go there now, it's there. And whatever is nothing is inaccessible. Some of them is there, but you can't get there. For example, here, you can just right behind here. When you drive through the highway coming in, I drove by here actually this morning. Oh, I should be walking. Oops. They use it for bus stops right in front of the water. Now that could be actually a very nice walkway where you can walk. Actually, there's people jogging around there as well. And this is in Shao Wan. You see how it blocks? But you can keep, it's there. You can, continue. But nobody's really get the ownership of this. And I said, we started it. It's not our project. It's your project. It's all our project. You want Hong Kong to be a livable place? Well, do something. So this is what we're trying to say. And then we did a lot of study, like smooth, safe, and a shaded area because it gets very hot in Hong Kong. And then trying to create a bicycle path, and people would jog and people would walk. This is some technical detail. The bridge. I love talking about the bridge. We just thought about this, and then we talked to the Harbor Commission and said, oh, we thought about that 10 years ago, but they couldn't tell us where they're trying to put it. But it was never happened. So actually, we have Borough Apple who's helping us to do the structure. Again, they're volunteer. Everybody involved in this project is volunteer. Okay, we take so much from the society. We feel that we should give back something, and this is what we're doing. Imagine you can walk to Kowloon. Just think of it. I get really excited. I don't know if you get excited, but. And also talk about the connectivity just now. We said about 1.7 million will be attracted to this harbor loop, but not counting all the people coming on MTR by boat. Actually, the numbers of people who will be using harbor loop is unimaginable. Could be lots of people. Of course, during certain different times of day. And also we can see people commuting using harbor loop. They will maybe ride a bicycle from home, and then they park it because they have bicycle parking, and then we have facilities like for showering. And then this was, oops, what happened? Am I over time? Almond. Oh, okay. Yeah, comfort. in Hong Kong, when you want to walk around, not everyone wants to climb mountains because you go to a lot of trails. The harbor, for comfort-wise, is fairly flat. It's probably not more than 1 or 2 meters difference in level. So actually, the whole family can walk there. You can bring your kids. You know, it's very, very friendly, usable. Whoops. Sorry. So this is one of the commuter hub. People can actually commute to work through the cable car, and then actually maybe just walking to work. These are some of the facilities that will happen once you have that harbor loop built. There will be some maybe smaller kiosks. People can buy breakfast, or you can set up a coffee shop. Yeah, and then some donuts. You can sell it there. People pick it up on the way to work. And also creating spaces where maybe with lockers, you can ride your bicycle and then put all your clothes in the lockers and change to your working clothes and go to work. And when you come off from work, you just go change back and then whoops, back to home. For the community hub in Quarry Bay, as I talked about earlier, it's a very strong sense of community. But again, this is just some idea, but we want the idea to come from the public. It's not us telling them what to do. It's all about transparency. Yeah, I'm still sticking with the subject. Cultural Hub South Yuan, for example, as I talked about earlier, it can develop into a very, very interesting space. Now, this hub, how does it work? Automated bicycle storage. I don't know about you, but I live in a very small place. I don't have space for a bicycle. I think most of us in Hong Kong live in compact spaces. So actually you can park your bike there. And then design is skin protective cladding. And also we have the green, it's like very green to sort of purify air. And also it can catch water for recycling. So actually it's very, very eco-friendly. And after that, from this we'll generate some retail, some F&B, some event bays like in Shao Kiwan, can have a kayak race and also the utilities. And these are all the facilities. Once you put all that together, you have a new destination. That's what we're looking for in Hong Kong. We don't have enough new destination. It's not going to Soho, it's going to Times Square. It's really something that you go to, you enjoy. Talked about this already. Confidence. We're quite confident that this could happen. Why? Because it's not a project of ours. It's a project of yours, of all the people of Hong Kong. You even get the signage figured out. Very legible. You know what's happening and how far you have to go before there's a washroom, for example. Yeah. And then if you want to eat, so really, it's very, very, very possible that we can do this. And these are all the supporters we have now. We just had the Walk 21 presentation by Yin 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was very, very well received by the world and Hong Kong community. For a better Hong Kong, what we need is a healthy Hong Kong. What we mean by healthy Hong Kong is like us, the working class. How many hours do we spend in the office? We actually spend half our life in the office. Now, healthy Hong Kong means you can actually walk to work. You can ride your bicycle, park it, get changed, and go to work. More exercise. So, so this is like the commuter hub, and also the regeneration. We looked at South Kiwan. There will be other area once we do further research. That actually a lot of places that the regeneration of the community, make them proud of themselves. That's important. People need to be proud of themselves. Why not? And then the connectivities. What it does is it connects all the different spaces, different area. It connects all the different communities in Hong Kong. That's connectivity. Some appendix. This is very boring just to show you that. Actually, we do very detailed study of how it could work. Now, what if you look when we look further out to be even more transparent? We don't want to say we only look at in a very small area. Let's say global. What is actually a world city? and what other people, statistically, what other people are doing. Livable cities. In Vancouver, they have 400 kilometers of bike lane. In Munich, they have 1,200 kilometers of bike lane. And in Melbourne, they have 1,900 kilometers of bike lane. How many we have in Hong Kong? How many there? The World Finance Hub, New York, London, Tokyo. You know, in New York, about 10% of the people walk to work. And then in London, 79% growth people walking to work from year 2001 to 2011. And in Tokyo, about 16% of the people cycle and walk to work. In Asia cities, for example, in Singapore, 2% people cycle. In Taipei, 4% people do cycling. But in Nagoya, 25% of the trip to station is by bicycle, and then they take the train because they have to commute quite a far distance to go to work. Hong Kong, you want to be an Asia world city? Just think about it a little bit. 90% of our bike lane is actually in new territories and not easily accessible by anybody. And during our interview, 80%, well, this is a published numbers. 80% of the people think the government should provide a well-organized cycling track network. So really, we don't have that. Every time, if you go to Stanley, for example, the people riding the bike, you know, they're very risky. So let's look at some built area, because always people say, "Wow, it's just dreaming. It's just blah 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 blah." This is built. The High Line in New York. Took them years to do it, but it's done. So maybe Hong Kong can learn from it. It cost them $115 million to build it, and then this generated $2.2 billion US dollar in commercial revenue around the High Line. 55% of the users are local people. That's what we said, like within 5-10 minutes walk. And it created 1,200 jobs, permanent jobs. And in 25 years, the government would have generated $980 million in tax revenue. Hey, it can be done. And yearly visitors is 5 million people. That's a lot of people. Imagine if you do that in Hong Kong with the Harbor Loop. It's feasible. It can be done. We just need people's support. So, if you want to know more, check this out on the website. The brainchild for this Harbor Loop is our senior planner, Yin Ralph, and Simon Bloor. And Simon Bloor just recently relocated to London. And also Alex Brazer, who's hiding behind there, is producing our yearbook 2, who is our creative director. So, until we meet again.
Thank you so much. We're going to open up to Q&A, so I hope you're ready.
Only 2 questions.
Do we have a first question?
It's sort of a question about getting this done, right? If you look at Highline, you've got a 20-year tax revenue for the government of $980 million. I don't think we have a mechanism in Hong Kong for government to earn tax revenue off of executing this project, right? Because it's mostly land auctions. So how do we address that? Bring government on board when we don't really have a mechanism for the tax revenue to accrue to the city for doing it.
Yeah, these are statistics straight off their website. In Hong Kong, actually, a lot of these lands that we're proposing the Harbor Loop is running through different developers. For example, Swire. We actually had a meeting with them, and they're very, very supportive of the idea. Carry properties around in Kai Tak and Kowloon Bay area. and also Sanunkai, around the central of the area. And a lot of these actually developers, they're very supportive because they think that if we do that, do the harbor loop, there'll be more people coming footfall also to their development. And the other thing as well, and again, you're right, Hong Kong is tax-free. We pay tax from our income, but sales tax we don't do. Yes, you're correct. But this is just an example of what was
So then sort of rental revenue to the private developers as opposed to tax revenue.
Yes, and they, in turn, they might need to maintain the bike path in their property. So they're very different mechanisms. Because it's not free, they have to pay for the maintenance of the bike path. But then also attracted new economic activities that again will be, I guess we do pay tax on certain tax on business. Maybe not that much in Hong Kong, but there will be still revenue. Of course, different cities work differently, different countries, different tax systems.
Have a question?
I thought there would be loads.
Good.
There's got to be more. You guys are being very shy.
But it's just,
What can we do to help?
you as an artist, of course I think it's like time, people's time. And then, as I said, quite a few people is on board now. And then just sign up. And then we'll work together and see in what sense we can help.
So what do you need now? I mean, apart from that, have you been speaking with the government? Have you been?
Now, that is a very sensitive question. Because people said you go to the government, it stops there. It doesn't move anywhere. So we're trying to keep it a project by the people, for the people, kind of thing. However, we did speak to the Harbor Commission, Nick Brook, we spoke to them. But then again, they're not government body. You cannot make any decisions on anything. They can only comment on certain issues. But I think if there's a will, there's a way to see how much our will is. And then with all the participation from everyone, trying to move it forward. Because also there's a group called the Love Hong Kong, We Love Hong Kong group. They're quite active and vocal for example, using underneath the highway bridge for having band playing and activities and stuff like that, really finding spaces. There's a lot of people supporting supportive in this one. When you get to the finance one, which we haven't got that far yet, but some people were talking about crowd financing. So everybody sort of chip in.
Crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding, sorry. My terms. I'm an architect. I don't so, yeah.
Anybody else? Going once, going twice.
Great. Thank you.
Wow, okay. Thank you so much, Claude. Please.